guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. All right, guys, you were probably thinking I wasn't going to post tonight, and to tell you the truth, I was starting to wonder myself because I recorded this earlier, to tell you the truth. I've already recorded once, but after 7 minutes, for some reason, it shut itself off, and I've never had that happen before, and I hope I never have it happen again, but that is what happened. So I am re-recording this because I didn't do a video last night. In fact, last night, because Q had not posted, I thought this would be a good opportunity to spend some time doing some in-depth research, because I'm wanting to do some documentaries now that I have have the equipment to be able to do that. So that's what I was doing. But don't worry, I'm not going to stop doing Q-related news, nor am I going to stop doing the Q posts, but I do want to start getting into some documentary type stuff, because my real passion is doing some really deep research. So there you go. Anyway, so tonight we do not have Q posts, but we do have some Q related news. So here, for the second time, I'm going to record this, and we will get into the news, because there is a lot of it. Now I just remembered that I had erased some of this, because once I had talked about it, I erased it. So I better put this stuff back in there before I start, or we won't have anything to. Okay, I think I've got it back in there. All right, now let's take a look at. Actually, last time I went over something by Maxine Waters, and she was calling out the patriotism of those that were standing with Trump. And I'm not going to play it again, because actually it was kind of long, and you know, halfway through it I thought, yeah, this was probably not a good idea, because it's really long, and she doesn't really say anything. She's just really, actually, it's interesting because these people are banking on the fact that none of us have read the Mueller report. And they know that the general public will not read it. Most will not read it. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way, because most people have jobs and families and all sorts of things. Their lives are full, and our lives are increasingly full. As more and more people take on more jobs and things, trying to make ends meet and so forth, our lives are busy, and they don't have time to sit there and read, 300-400 pages. So, that means that people like Maxine and Chuck Schumer and Pelosi and these people can stand, Adam Schiff can stand up and lie through their teeth and say, oh, well, the Mueller report says this and this and this, when really it says nothing of the sort. And that's basically what Maxine Waters was doing. And really, who's going to challenge her? Because most people have not read it. And, we know, I've read most of it, and it says nothing of the sort of what people are saying that it says. And I don't really know how you can obstruct something that there's no crime there. So how can there be any obstruction? And now I'm sure you've noticed that the harassment against Trump has been ramped up, full amp. I mean, they are just going all out. They're even wanting to subpoena the financial records of his grandchildren, and his daughter Tiffany, that he had with Marla Maples. And she's not even living in New York or anywhere near. I think she is out in California, if I'm not mistaken. And yet they want to subpoena her school for her records and her financial records through the school and everything else. I mean, what does this have to do with the presidency? Really? What does his kids' finances have to do with the presidency? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So it's just harassment. It's more harassment. And then there's this, which I tried to get to. I had pulled this out actually today, but already it has been scrubbed from the web. And it is about Pete Buttigieg sexually assaulting this, well, she was underage at the time. and she is coming out and speaking about this, but it's already been scrubbed from the web, so I can't even get out to it now because it's gone. But that was there. And then I wanted to show you this, which I think is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, it's just way out there. Now, before I do this, I just want to go back and make sure that this is still recording, and it is, and we've got everything looks fine. So, all right, just want to be sure, because I don't want to get all the way through this and find again that, oops, it shut itself off. So let's go out to this, and you tell me if you think this is just absolutely nuts. Let me get some of this shut down here. Alrighty. All right. Now, Stacey Abrams feels comfortable saying she won Georgia race despite losing Georgia race. Is that not just about the most ludicrous, asinine thing you've ever heard in your life? I feel comfortable saying I'm the Queen of England. I feel comfortable saying, like, it's crazy. She feels comfortable saying she won, even though she lost. She feels comfortable saying she won. It's kind of like Hillary Clinton, right? She feels comfortable saying she won. She likes to blame it on everybody else. And she couldn't even win a rigged election, and neither could Stacey Abrams. And I think that's why she's having such a hard time believing that she lost, because it was rigged. She's like, wait, what the heck? They rigged this for me. I wasn't supposed to lose. I feel comfortable saying I won. Well, I feel comfortable saying I won the lottery, but I didn't. I mean, who does that? Really? Who does that? I feel comfortable saying I won. Like, really, if somebody did that at the Olympics, and they lost and they came in second or something, but they say, well, I feel comfortable saying I won, people would have them committed. And really, I think she needs some psychiatric help. And I'm not saying that to be cruel, but honestly, somebody that says something like that needs some help. Really. She is in utter denial. I feel comfortable saying I won. Okay, well, you can feel comfortable with it, but you still lost. Good for you that you're comfortable lying. Great. You should feel comfortable lying. You've been doing it a long time. But it's like, Hillary blames everybody else. Everybody else. She even says, well, I lost because women's husbands wouldn't let them vote for me. Yeah, that's right, Hillary. Insult all the women. Yeah, that will get you real far. Anyway, let's go back. I just wanted to show you that. I'm not going to read it all to you because it's literally it's asinine. It's absolutely the most incredibly stupid thing I've read in a long time. And let me tell you, I read stupid things all the time, every day. But this takes the cake, at least for today. I feel comfortable saying I won. Sure. Well, if you're comfortable lying, why shouldn't you feel comfortable saying you won when you didn't? All right, let's go back. No, really, let's. And then there's this that's happening, and this is happening in churches, it seems, worldwide right now. A lot of it that's happening in Europe is not being reported in the news, but it's starting to happen in churches in America. We had the churches burning in Louisiana. We've had other churches vandalized. Now there is a vandal targeting churches in North Cobb County, Georgia. So, and I'm not going to read all this to you. I just wanted you to be aware of it. Cobb County Police are on the lookout for a vandal who has defaced at least 4 churches in the Ackworth and Kennesaw areas. Surveillance cameras have captured the tagger in action, spray painting vulgar and obscene language, even satanic symbols on the houses of worship. I think people, there is a huge attack on Christianity worldwide. And, I had people say to me, well, because, the Catholic Church there are a lot of things wrong with the Catholic Church, but to tell you the truth, there's a lot of things wrong with the Protestant Church too these days. They're not really preaching biblical Christianity anymore either. But people were saying, well, I don't think it's a symbol of Christianity falling because, Catholic Church isn't really, the Christian church. And to me, that doesn't make sense because it's a symbol to them. It doesn't matter to them that it's, to many people worldwide, Catholicism is the symbol of Christianity. So to target a very prominent Christian church, even if it really isn't Christian, because there's a lot of pagan symbolism there, in their minds, it's a symbol of Christianity falling and something else replacing it. And what will replace it is Luciferianism. It's going to be an amalgamation, really, of Christianity and Muslim. It's like they call it Chrislam. And really, we're getting that more and more and more. And that has been the aim for a very long time, is to have these two religions fight each other. So if you go back and you read some of the prophecies by some of the the occult people and people that have been planning this new world order, they say it very clearly. They're wanting to incite these two to violence. So anyway, let's go back. And, in between, after I recorded it and I found that it wasn't, that it hadn't recorded, it had shut off after 7 minutes, I took a phone call, and then I thought, well, I'm talking on the phone, and I'm not a person that likes to just hang around and talk on the phone, so I thought, well, I'm going to make some cookies, which is really never a good idea. Especially for me, because I'm not supposed to have sugar. So I made these chocolate cookies, and now I feel I had one, which I shouldn't have, but what do you do? And so now I feel like I have chocolate cookies in my teeth. But anyway, I'll get over it. As long as you do, as long as I don't have any, cookies hanging out of my mouth or anything. All right. Okay, let's go on here. And I'm sure everybody has heard that Rod Rosenstein has submitted his resignation, and I was a little gobsmacked at what he wrote, actually. I was pleasantly surprised. And I do think that Rod Rosenstein was cooperating with POTUS. Now, do I think that he's a white hat? No. But I do think that he is a black hat that later cooperated with the president. And I think that we have several of them. Look at Lisa Page. Lisa Page fully cooperated with the president. And there's many others. And I do think that Rod Rosenstein was definitely one that was cooperating fully. So here is his resignation. The Deputy Attorney General of the United States, Rod Rosenstein, has submitted his resignation letter to President Trump Monday afternoon. So that was yesterday afternoon. May 11th, 2019 will be his last day. You can read it in its entirety below. I don't know if it's necessary for us to read it in its entirety, but I would like to point out how he ended it. He said, "We enforce the law without fear or favor because credible evidence is not partisan and truth is not determined by opinion polls. We ignore fleeting distractions and focus our attention on the things that matter because a republic that endures is not governed by the news cycle." Then he says, "We keep the faith, we follow the rules, and we always put America first. Sincerely, Rod J. Rosenstein." Now, I think that's interesting that he said we put America first, because that is a very strong Trumpism. And to me, it shows me, and he also wrote in here somewhere that he appreciated the president's humor and the way that in talking to him, the president was always respectful and humorous and so forth. And I thought, this is a wonderful resignation letter. There's no hostility there. I didn't sense any hostility there. So I think that it's good. Now, Trump has said that he was not Trump, but rather Q had said that he was leaving. Bye bye, fly Rosenstein, fly, and so forth. So we knew that he was going, but I think that while he was there, he cooperated fully with the president. That's how I feel anyway. And I do believe that is what Q said, that Rod Rosenstein was cooperating, as were many others, like Lisa Page and so forth. So, all right, now let's go back. And I love me some cat turd, as long as it's not in my litter box. Not my litter box. I mean, I don't use a litter box. That would be just plain silly, wouldn't it? And gross as well. Yeah, as long as it's not in my cat's litter box, I don't mind me some cat turd. I actually really enjoy following cat turd on Twitter. And if you're on Twitter, make sure you follow me. It's in the description below. I am on Twitter, and if you want me to follow you back, just let me know and I will. Sometimes you have to ask me more than once, because if I have a lot of notifications, I might not always see it. But be persistent, because it's nothing personal. I will follow you back. But this from Cat Turd, and actually this is the first place I saw it, was from him, but now it's like all over the internet, about this model that is on Sports Illustrated. And look, she's promotes Sharia law. He says, WTH, Sports Illustrated promotes Sharia law, features Muslim model in hijab and burkini. Yes, that's what it's called. It's called a burkini. Right. Now, nothing says freedom like a burkini. Nothing, nothing more freeing than a burkini. I really don't think I would want to swim in something that was down to my ankles and to my wrists and my head covered, and I don't know if these are earrings or, yeah, I guess they look like earrings. Like, really, if she swam like that, she'd probably drowned. But says Sports Illustrated glamorized the oppression of women and promotes Sharia law by featuring a Muslim woman donning a hijab and burkini. Now, this is a 21-year-old Muslim model. There are many people that have her mixed up with Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar is not in Sports Illustrated. This is not her. This is a 21-year-old Muslim model. She is a beautiful woman. She's an absolutely beautiful woman, but excuse me. But I don't know. I don't know. I know that Sports Illustrated is trying to be politically correct and on the cutting edge, but I don't call Sharia law on the cutting edge unless it's the cutting edge of a machete as it comes down across your neck because you're showing too much skin. Anyway, there you go. Now, like I said, she's a beautiful woman, but it's just odd because does that make it look appealing just because she is a beautiful woman in this very colorful garb, this so-called burkini? And if you see other pictures, there's another picture of her, and it's a beautiful, like when it shows her from here up, it's beautiful because she's got like a black and a beading around here, and she's got a beautiful face. But then when they pull back, you can see that she's in this long black garb. It's really a burqa, and and around, because it's meant for swimming, it's got this big bubble around her breast area, I guess, so that when her breasts get wet in the water, men won't be able to see the shape of them because, goodness sakes, women have to be responsible for everyone, apparently. I mean, it's the woman's fault if a man looks at her. But anyway, just very, very odd, and especially for Sports Illustrated. What do you guys think? It's not that I don't mind, the other cultures and so forth, and I don't mind, like I said, I think everyone should have the right to practice their religion. Just because I don't agree with their religion, I still think that they deserve the right to practice it. But what I object to, and where my support for that ends, is when their rights impinge upon my rights. And having somebody want to kill me and cut my head off because I'm a Christian, yeah, that kind of impinges on my rights. That's how I look at it. But, you know, I don't know. Just what do you guys think about this? About Sports Illustrated having bikinis? Yeah. Well, I mean, it. Now, granted, I don't agree with the butt floss either. You know, like you go to a beach and, you know, sure, these women are, a lot of them are beautiful. They're walking around with a little butt floss on, you know, two dots and a dash to cover their bits and pieces. And, you know, you've got your family there and, you know, just not appropriate. It's not appropriate. But, you know, neither's this. It's like one extreme to the other. Someplace there has to be some modesty in the middle. But anyway, let's continue on. Now, let's look at this. No, really, let's. Because I think this is funny. This is by Eric Trump. And he's showing two pictures here, I guess as a comparison. Now, this up here is the Trump rally. And as you can see, every single seat is filled. And I know that there was a lot of people outside that tried to get in and could not get a seat inside the auditorium. And it wouldn't matter where they held a Trump rally. It wouldn't matter if they held it in the biggest stadium in America. Now, I'm not really sure what the biggest stadium in America is, but let's say they rented that. It would be sold out because it's always sold out. Every single place he goes, it's sold out, and there's people waiting outside. There's people that want to be able to have a seat that can't. So he can pack them out. Now, you can, not you personally, but the Democrats can say all they want. Oh, this country hates Trump, and we need to get rid of Trump, and he's wrecking our country, and, you know, okay, well, that does not jive with reality. And the reality is that this man is treated like a rock star. There's a lot of stars that could not pack out an auditorium like he could. Really. And big name stars. Like, he can pack out any auditorium they rent for him. Packs it out. Full to capacity and overflowing. But then there's Joe Biden. Creepy Joe Biden. Sloppy Joe. Yeah, look at here. Now, I don't know how many people are there, but I would hazard a guess that at the most 500, I would say. I'm just hazarding a guess there. I don't know for sure, but it's a very small audience that turned out for him. And so that by comparison, and yet they say that Joe Biden is ahead 8 points in the polls. I don't believe it. I really don't believe it. I don't believe it for 1 second. I believe it as much as I believe the polls that said, oh, Trump only had a 2% chance of winning the presidency. Really? Okay. I mean, everybody was saying that Hillary Clinton was a shoo-in. Oh, yes, she's 98% chance she's going to win. Nah, Donald Trump's not going to be our president. No way. There's no way he'll get in. Everybody laughed. Oh, it was just such a big joke. It was a big joke. Yeah, is it such a big joke now? So, yeah, I don't put too much credence in the polls because they're never right. And if it's coming from the mainstream media, it's probably a lie. It's either a lie or there's a twist on the truth. It's never the full truth. They never give the full truth. What I call that is being economical with the truth. They put enough truth in there to make it palatable, but it's never the full truth. Either they hold back some or they add a little bit to it. So let's look at this by Charlie Kirk. 4 prominent Democrat senators voted for a wall in 2006. Their names? Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden. Imagine that. Most Democrats have supported border security their entire time in office, until President Trump took office. What changed? Well, there's a couple ways of looking at this, but I'll tell you the way I look at this. Do I believe that at one time Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer, and Joe Biden were for a wall? No, I don't. Do I believe that they told people that they were for a wall? Yes, I do. But here's the difference. They told people they were for the wall because that's what the public expected them to say, because the public is most certainly for a wall. But they said they were for a wall to gain public support, knowing that nothing would ever be done about it. So they could say whatever they want. Sure, we agree with a wall. Let's build a wall, knowing full well that they will gain the support of the public and nothing will be done anyway. So why not just tell them, yeah, we're for it. But then when Trump came along, they knew, if he says he's going to build a wall, he's going to build a wall. Because Trump does what he says. And the thing is, this man has spent his whole life building, and building some of the most expensive real estate on the planet. He builds the most luxurious hotels and properties, and he knows how to get it done. He knows how to get it done within a budget, and he knows how to get it done on time, because time is money. So this is a businessman. This isn't a politician. It's a businessman. He's going to get it done. He can get it done. He's been doing it his whole life. He's been having these huge projects and building them successfully his entire life. So building a wall, not a big deal to him. So Trump comes along and they go, I think this guy's actually might just do what he's saying. We better start opposing him. That's how I look at it. You may not. You may think, no, I think that they were sincerely for a wall back then. No, I don't. And part of it is just opposing Trump because they don't like him. Part of it is they don't want that wall because it's going to, they're doing well with all the illegal immigrants coming across because they vote Democrat. They don't want that wall. And I don't believe they ever did. That's just the way I look at it. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. Look at that. I prophesied, and I bet it'll come true. I bet I will be wrong again. I may even be wrong now. All right. Now, and here is something else that's a little bit odd to me. Now, maybe you won't look at it this way, and that's quite all right if you don't, because we're different people. We have different opinions, and that is perfectly okay. That is what makes this a great country. I like it, as I've said many times, if we both think exactly alike, then one of us isn't necessary, and it's you. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, let me tell you what I think about this. Major U.S. airlines hit with system-wide ticketing outages. Okay, not that big a deal. This happened yesterday. And it says major U.S. airlines were hit with system-wide ticketing outages on Monday, which have since been resolved. Systems are back online. Customers are reporting normal or close to normal operations. We sincerely apologize for any resulting travel delays, said Sabre, a company that airlines use for printing tickets and making reservations. So this is, the airline companies, not all of them, but the majority of them do use this company. I think it is pronounced Sabre, and it's a third party that is doing the printing the tickets and making the reservations. And so this company had an outage. Well, that's not the first time this has happened to this company. But for me, I just start thinking about this, I guess because of this time frame that we're in. We know that a lot is going to be happening within the next month. We know that Comey's report is coming out. Then the declassification is going to happen, and then at the end of May, we're going to have the Inspector General's report come out. So a lot of stuff is going to be coming out, and a lot of information is going to be hitting. So I'm wondering, are they starting to round up people? I don't know, but it made me wonder. Maybe there was a reason for that, because it seemed like it was the U.S. that was hit, and I don't know if the other airlines in the world use this same system for ticketing, but I would imagine that it's not just the U.S. I would think, at least Canada and North America would be using the same system, I would imagine, but I don't know. But it said major U.S. airlines were hit with system-wide ticketing outages on Monday, which have since been resolved. Which means, it grounds the planes temporarily, right? And I'm just wondering, is there a reason for that? Did they need to have that outage for that brief period of time? Were they doing something? I don't know. Were the skies busy during that time when they needed these flights grounded for a little bit? I don't know, but it makes me wonder. And you can't blame me, because Q always says, no coincidences. Now, we know that, yes, in real life, there are coincidences, but in terms of all this stuff, no, there aren't, and just makes me wonder. And I don't know, do any of you think that way? Or do you think that I'm just being a little bit, too finding things where there's nothing? I don't know, but I just thought I'd mention it because I did find that a little bit odd. All right, now let me see. That's where I tried to upload the file that was only 7 minutes long because it shut off anyway. Let's go back here because here is something, not here, not there, here. This is something else that struck me. And this is, I believe, from yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. But I noticed this and then I never heard anything more about it. Haiti, gunfire coming from the rear entrance to the embassy. Shelter in place is in effect for the embassy compound. If you are traveling to the embassy, find a safe area to shelter in place. Well, I don't know, but it made me kind of wonder. Are they rounding anybody up? Like gunfire coming from the rear entrance to the embassy? Don't you think that's kind of important? And why wasn't it all over the news? It wasn't. This is the only place I found it. Travel, State Department. I don't know. A little odd, and I couldn't find anything else about it. So what was going on? Were they rounding up somebody? We know there's a whole lot of junk about Haiti. Yeah. And we know who's involved in that. So at least we know partly who's involved in that. We know that there's so much more to come out. I mean, really, we've had a whole year and 3/4 or a year, well, it's over a year and a half, to kind of clue us into all this stuff, but there's so much more to come out. And I think that we know we have at least like a foundation, but there's so much more to come out. And I think people are just going to be overwhelmed with the information because it's going to be like, what? Like some of the things even that we know so far just because of Q, like I know I've reacted like that, like, what? Are you kidding me? And some of it is just too horrible to even comprehend. Okay, this from Joe M. All eyes on Comey. He goes down next, soon. I expect his criminal referral to be announced first, agreement by bar, arrest, and perp walk. He was the highest ranking FBI official who oversaw rollout of the insurance policy and needs to be dragged out in public before the D-class. And that is what's going to happen. It's going to be Comey, D-class, and the Inspector General report. Those three things are going to be happening in the next month. So now this person replied to Joe and said, and this I find very fascinating. Joe, have you seen this possible decode of Comey's last bizarre tweet? It's possibly a coded false flag message, and the possible target is a big school/family event at a Nevada fairgrounds. The date is around the time these things will be breaking also. Now, I don't know if you noticed this tweet by James Comey. I certainly did, and I spent a long time trying to decode it because it was driving me crazy because I knew it was a message because it's too weird. And we know that this would not be the first time that Comey has sent messages through his Twitter. So this message came across and it said, five jobs I've held. 1, grocery store clerk. 2, vocal soloist for church weddings. 3, chemist. 4, strike replacement high school teacher. 5, FBI director. Interrupted. Now, that's an odd little tweet, I think. First of all, it's just it's odd. And the thing is too, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, wow, these things are just weird. And then bang, he's FBI director, like grocery store clerk. Okay, well, we've all held jobs like that when we were young. Vocal soloist for church weddings. Now, I would never have guessed that in a million years, and I somehow have a hard time believing that that's true. Chemist. He worked as a chemist. Now, another word for chemist is a pharmacist. So was he a chemist? Was he a pharmacist? I don't know. Does he have a background in chemistry? Does a background in chemistry prepare you to be FBI director? I wouldn't think so. And then he was a strike replacement high school teacher, which makes him what they call, it's a nasty term, but it's what they call a scab. If you are replacing somebody that's on strike, then you are a scab. Anyway, so I even tried gematria, even though, I do know that they do communicate that way. And was I was trying all sorts of things to try and decode this, but I couldn't get anything that made sense. And this to me possibly does make sense. And it said false flag alert, and it said 5J, and taking these letters, 5JIHAD, 5 JIHADS. I'm not going to say that word because I'll get flagged. And so then he comes down here and he says G for the first, capital letters in each line, J, V, C, S, F, and it says Grass Valley Charter School Foundation at Nevada Country Fairgrounds on May 11th, 2019, will be holding their Blue Marble Jubilee. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? To me, because nobody has decoded it yet, it's as good of a decode as I've seen. However, as it is with a lot of these things, it becomes apparent afterwards. You look back and you go, oh, okay, that's what that meant. Now, no doubt he's sending a message to someone, and he's sending a message to the deep state, or he's sending a message to a cell somewhere to say, okay guys, showtime, this is what we're doing. Just like when he let everybody know that George Herbert Walker Bush had died because he said my dog Benji died, and of course he doesn't have a dog Benji, so yeah. So anyway, and then the whole trees thing with the Notre Dame fire. So we know that he does send codes through his Facebook, as do many of them. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that this is a good decode? Do you think that it's possible? But I would say that if you are in Nevada and that happens to be someplace that you are going to be attending, to, stay alert and stay on guard. See something, say something, because I'll tell you, I don't know if I would want to be there after this, because I don't know. These guys are, well, they don't put too high a premium on life, I mean, they even want to kill babies after they've been born. So, do you think that your life matters to them? It doesn't. And then he comes back and responds, and this is interesting. Joe says, and you know what else? Comey's tweet is the same timestamp as when a plane hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center on 9/11. And indeed it is, 8:46. You think that's a mistake? Do you think that's just a coincidence? I don't. This guy was FBI director. He knows, how they communicate. He thinks that way. So yeah, that's not a mistake. And of course down here, Joe put 8:46 a.m. Flight 11 hits the North Tower of the World Trade Center between floors 93 and 99. Immediately following the plane's impact, emergency dispatchers direct Fire Department, New York, and EMS and New York Police Department to the scene. The Port Authority Police Department is also mobilized, and evacuation and rescue efforts begin. So isn't that Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. Um, Interesting. Is there another false flag attack that is going to be on the scale of 9/11? I sure hope. I pray not. And we should be, if we are believers, we should be praying for the safety of our nation, the safety of our president, and the safety of innocent people who are caught up in these things. I know that there was a shooting today in um, um, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. I heard about that just previously. I haven't had a chance to check up on that. There was also some shootings in Tennessee. There was two crime scenes, but to me it looked like it could be a family type issue. There were two crime scenes, and there was, I think, a family found dead and another crime scene. So to me it sounded like it was probably a family issue, but it seems like these are happening more and more. And of course, we know that the answer is not taking guns away, because then we run the risk of us being a Venezuela. And I don't know if you saw on the news tonight what's happening there, but it's horrific. Like big tanks just rolling over people. They don't care. They'll just roll you over. And civilians that are protesting, which should be their right, but they are just being mowed down, and they are firing on these protesters. So things are not looking good there, and yet we have all these Democrats now that are moving towards socialism and saying that it's such a good thing that we should be moving towards socialism when it's never worked anywhere. It certainly hasn't worked in Venezuela. It's never worked anywhere it's been instituted. So what makes them think it's going to work in America, land of the free, home of the brave? And you think that Americans are just going to lay down and let them take their guns? No, the whole of America was built on, guns are so integral to the very identity of America and to the freedom they espouse. So I just can't see Americans giving up their guns, not without a fight. No, especially those Texas boys and some of those. No way, they're not going to get their guns. There's no way. So yeah, they're saying they're holding up socialism as such. Oh, this is wonderful. And you've got people like Pocahontas, saying things like, oh yes, we're going to just forgive all of student debt. And most of socialism does appeal to the young and disenfranchised, because they think, you know what? They look around and they think, my gosh, how do I afford to have a house? How do I've got all this college debt. I'm out and I expect to make this big money, and I don't, and I've got all this debt to pay back. And, like I was talking to a friend of mine, and he lives in Georgia, and we've been friends forever, and we were talking about the fact that even like he has a very, very good job, and my parents had good jobs, but they weren't, doctors or lawyers, but they had very good jobs, but they had, I could never have what my parents had, just because it's just not available anymore. It takes two people to work now. It takes, sometimes both the husband and the wife working more than one job just to support the family now. Rent is going up constantly. Food is going up. It's hard. And, I was talking to him and I said, I don't know how my parents did it, because we went on vacation, several times a year. We went to this, we traveled through the States, we traveled all over. And, my parents both had new cars, always. They never drove around in old cars. We had a pool, we had a summer place where we went, a cottage, and my parents were not rich. They were middle class, but they were able to do all this stuff. Like, we were well dressed, well fed. We went out to eat probably three times a week as a family. And, I was talking to my friend and he was saying the same thing. Now, his mother stayed home many years because his father had a very good job. And, now that's just about impossible. And, they went on vacation. They had, all this wonderful lifestyle. He's got a very good job, and he says, I'm not living the lifestyle that my parents lived. I'm certainly not living the lifestyle that my parents lived. Why is that? And so you've got this whole generation of young people that are coming and looking and saying, you know what? I don't know. How do we afford the American dream anymore? And so they look at these people that are offering them all this free stuff. Oh, free healthcare, great. Oh, they're going to wipe out my student debt, great. Yeah, it is great until you think about who's going to pay for this. Who's going to pay for it? And, offering free health care to all the illegals. Who's going to pay for that? Now, yes, it appeals to the illegals. And the illegals, at least in California and a lot of other places, they're able to vote. And they're going to vote Democrat. So, yeah. All this socialism, it's not working. Ask Venezuela. And we can't give free things to everybody. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way. And sometimes I think Donald Trump's the only one that gets it out of all of these politicians, because he's a businessman. He realizes you can't, nothing out of nothing is nothing. You can't just pull stuff out of the air, out of your butt, like here. Yeah, we're going to forgive all the student debt. Sure. We're going to, give everybody free health care. We're going to let everybody have a free education. Great. Who's going to pay for it? Yeah, right. Exactly. Who's going to pay for it? So anyway, now look at this. This was a terror plot involving a military veteran thwarted in Southern California. Sources say one of the intended targets was Long Beach, by the way, next to Seal Beach. Where have we heard that from? Q. Remember the photo from Q? Was that referencing this, perhaps? I think so. I really do. Q, it always seems to be future proves past. Q was letting us know even back then. We know. Now, that's why it was thwarted, because they knew. And Q was telling us, that's what I believe. But this terror plot was thwarted. Army vet planned mass casualties. So FBI says Mark Stephen Domingo was arrested after taking delivery of what he thought was a live bomb from an undercover law enforcement officer. So again, this attack was thwarted. Who knows how many lives were saved? And Q showed us a picture of Seal Beach. What was he telling us? Maybe this. Maybe there's more than one meaning to that picture that Q provided us, but to me, it seems pretty obvious that this could be one of them. All right, now this something else, because the Democrats like to say, oh, we don't have a problem at the border. No problem here. Yeah, there's a really big problem, and it's not just drugs, it is human trafficking and worse, because a lot of people pay their own people as coyotes to take them across the border and to help them get to safety, but a lot of times they don't get to safety, and a lot of these women, in fact a huge portion of these women, are raped along the way, sometimes several times, and sometimes killed. And then you see other people that are, they'll find a truck full of illegal immigrants, and some of them are dead, or they've got heat exhaustion because they've been packed in these trucks. I mean, it's just not safe. So yeah, a wall works. It works, and we need it desperately. Anyway, the body of a 6-year-old girl at the U.S.-Mexico border had been raped by at least 30 men, according to military physicians. 6 years old, raped by 30 men. 6. It's horrific. I don't even like to think about it. She obviously died. The discovery was made after a group of mothers decided to travel to the southern border to discover just how widespread a problem human trafficking really is. What they found was truly despicable. Absolutely, it's despicable. It's unbelievable. All right, now there's so much here, and I'm not going to be able to get to it all, but let's look at this by Charlie Kirk, Bernie Sanders, Senator Warren, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Senator Gillibrand. All of these 2020 candidates support providing free, taxpayer-funded Medicare to illegal aliens. They're running for president of the United States. Why won't they put U.S. taxpayers first? Why? Well, because the illegals are going to vote for them, aren't they? Yeah, and who's going to pay for all of this taxpayer-funded Medicare for illegal aliens? Well, right here, taxpayer-funded. Yes, our tax dollars will pay. Yeah. So work hard, people. Work hard. Make that money so that they can get your taxes to pay for all the people that are streaming across our border. Yeah, not right. Not right, not fair. These countries, where they're coming from, they should provide for their own people. Absolutely. Now, let's look at this. European churches vandalized, defecated on, and torched every day. It's happening worldwide. In Germany, 4 separate churches were vandalized and or torched in March alone. In this country, PI News, a German news site, explained there is a creeping war against everything that symbolizes Christianity. Attacks on mountain summit crosses, on sacred statues by the wayside, on churches, and recently also on cemeteries. In virtually every instance of church attacks, authorities and media obfuscate the identity of the vandals. And why do you think that is? Well, we know, don't we? In those rare instances when the Muslim or migrant identity of the destroyer is leaked, the desecrators are then presented as suffering from mental health issues. Well, you can say that again. Hardly anyone writes and speaks about the increasing attacks on Christian symbols. There is an eloquent silence in both France and Germany about the scandal of the desecrations and the origin of the perpetrators. Not a word, not even the slightest hint that it could in any way lead to the suspicion of migrants. It is not the perpetrators who are in danger of being ostracized, but those who dare to associate the desecration of Christian symbols with immigrant imports. They are accused of hatred, hate speech, and racism. And we know that to be true. That is very much the truth in Canada as well. They don't even put the perpetrator's name in the newspaper anymore because people will know automatically. And yeah, it's we don't have free press here anymore at all. You think your press is not free? Canada, whoo, it's really not free. Hasn't been for a while now. Okay, in February, vandals desecrated and smashed crosses and statues at Saint Helene Cathedral in Lavar, France, and mangled the arms of a statue of a crucified Christ in a mocking manner. In addition, an altar cloth was burned. Countless churches throughout Western Europe are being vandalized, defecated on, and torched. In France, 2 churches are desecrated every day on average. Think about that. France isn't that big of a country. It's not. I don't know what state it would equate to or equal, but it's not that big of a country. And yet, 2 churches are desecrated every day on average. According to PI News, a German news site, 1,063 attacks on Christian churches or symbols, crucifixes, icons, statues were registered in France in 2018. Okay, that is more than I read in another article that said 875 churches had been burned. But I guess this is including desecration and, different things. So 1,000, where is that? 1,063 attacks. That's astronomical. This represents a 17% increase compared to the previous year, 2017. Then 878 attacks were registered, meaning that such attacks are only going from bad to worse. Among some of the most recent desecrations in France, the following took place in just February and March. Vandals plundered Notre Dame d'Enfants Church in names and used human excrement to draw a cross there. Consecrated bread was found thrown outside among garbage. The St. Nicholas Church in, can't pronounce the name of that, was vandalized on 3 separate occasions in February. A 19th century of the Virgin Mary, regarded as irreparable, was completely pulverized, said a clergyman, and a hanging cross was thrown to the floor. Vandals desecrated and smashed crosses and statues at St. Elaine Church in Lavore and mangled the arms of a statue of a crucified Christ in a mocking manner. In addition, an altar cloth was burned. Arsonists torched the Church of St. Sulpice in Paris soon after midday mass on Sunday, March 17th. Similar reports are coming out of Germany. 4 separate churches were vandalized and or torched in March alone. In this country, PI News explained, there is a creeping war against everything that symbolizes Christianity. Attacks on mountain summit crosses, on sacred statues by the wayside, on churches, and recently also on cemeteries. Who is primarily behind these ongoing and increasing attacks on churches in Europe? The same German report offers a hint. Crosses are broken, altars smashed, Bibles set on fire, baptismal fonts overturned, and the church doors smeared with Islamic expressions like well, I'm not going to say this because of the algorithms, but you can read it right here. Another German report from November 11th, 2017 noted that in the Alps and Bavaria alone, 200 churches were attacked and many crosses broken. Police are currently dealing with church desecrations again and again. The perpetrators are often youthful riders with a migration background. Elsewhere, they are described as young Islamists. Sometimes, sadly, in European regions with large Muslim populations, there seems to be a concomitant rise in attacks on churches and Christian symbols. Before Christmas 2016, in the North Rhine-Westphalia region of Germany, where more than 1 million Muslims reside, some 50 public Christian statues, including those of Jesus, were beheaded and crucifixes broken. In 2016, following the arrival in Germany of another 1 million, mostly Muslim migrants, a local newspaper reported that in the town of Dülmen, not a day goes by without attacks on religious statues in the town of less than 50,000 people and the immediate surrounding area. In France, it also seems, where the number of Muslim migrants increases, so does attacks on churches. A January 2017 study revealed that Islamist extremist attacks on Christians in France rose by 38%, going from 273 attacks in 2015 to 376 in 2016. The majority occurred during Christmas season, and many of the attacks took place in churches and other places of worship. As a typical example, in 2014, a Muslim man committed major acts of vandalism inside a historic Catholic church in Thonon-les-Bains. According to a report with pictures, he overturned and broke 2 altars, the candelabras and lecterns, destroyed statues, tore down a tabernacle, twisted a massive bronze cross, smashed in a sacristy door, and even broke some stained glass windows. He also trampled on the Eucharist. For similar examples in other Europeans, please see here, 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 and here. We're not going to do that right now. In virtually every instance of church attacks, authorities and media obfuscate the identity of the vandals. In those rare cases where the Muslim or migrant identity of the destroyers is leaked, the perpetrators are then presented as suffering from mental health issues. Raymond Ibrahim, author of a new book, Sword and Commit, 14 Centuries of War Between Islam and the West. He is a distinguished senior fellow at the Gaston Institute and a Judith Rosen Friedman fellow at the Middle East Forum. So that is an article about what is happening in Europe, and we are not receiving any of that information at all. Why? Why? And it's starting to happen in America. It's happening here too. Yep, and nobody's ever held responsible. That's the strange thing. Well, not so strange, but yeah. All right, let's go back. to hear, and I think that this, everybody will be interested in seeing this. This from Mrs. Christine Assange, that is Julian Assange's mother. Now, if anybody should know, it would be her, I would assume. And this is what she says. My son has still not been able to receive any visits, not even from his lawyers. It has been nearly 2 weeks since he was detained in Belmarsh prison. It is outrageous and appears punitive to continue to keep him isolated. Belmarsh equals UK's Guantanamo. This is what else she has to say here. Julian is in Belmarsh prison, UK's Guantanamo. The prison is run in such a way as to humiliate and degrade the inmate. Now, I was really hoping, I didn't want to think that, I didn't know where he was, to tell you the truth, and I was hoping that he was in America, but now I see that that is not so, and I am worried about his well-being, because I do not view him, maybe others do, but I personally do not view him as, I view him more as a hero. I think that he did what any journalist would do, and I think he is being punished for doing the job of a journalist, really. And I'm worried about him. I'm worried about his well-being, and I'm worried about what they're actually doing to him. So if you are a believer, please say a prayer for him, because I don't believe that he deserves the treatment that he is getting at all. And I wanted to believe that he was being set free when he came out of the embassy, and that he was going to be extradited to America to face, to be able to testify. But I don't know now. I don't know. And it worries me, to tell you the truth, because, again, I think he's a good guy. I think he did the right thing, and I know not everybody believes that. I realize that, but again, we all have different opinions, and we all have different ways of looking at things, and I respect your opinion if you disagree, and I would ask that you would respect my opinion for feeling otherwise. So there you go. Now, this is also very interesting, and I wanted to get to this. I know time is getting away from us, but look at this, and this is from Forbes. The IRS admits it encourages illegals to steal Social Security numbers for taxes. Now, what do you think about that? I don't think too highly of it, to tell you the truth. This isn't exactly the kind of story the IRS wants buzzing around at tax time. The IRS and Justice Department normally want scared straight stories just before tax day. Ideally, when an indictment or conviction for tax evasion hits the news, it makes you think twice. Somehow you think just a bit more about all those deductions, or if you really reported all your income before you sign your return under penalties of perjury. Instead, we have the top dog at the IRS commissioner himself, admitting, well, there's a problem with illegal immigrants and taxes. In fact, the top IRS official this time wasn't talking about how the IRS wipes some hard drives or can't find emails. He wasn't even asking for a wider budget to give bonuses to IRS employees. This time he was talking about illegal immigrants and about the IRS turning a blind eye. Or maybe worse, the IRS actually wants illegal immigrants to illegally use Social Security numbers. He suggested IRS Commissioner John Koskinen made the surprising statement in response to a question from Senator Dan Coates at a Senate Finance Committee meeting. The question was a touchy one. Gee, is the IRS collaborating with taxpayers who filed tax returns using fraudulent information? It wasn't put exactly that way. According to Senator Coates, what we learned is that the IRS continues to process tax returns with false W-2 information and issue refunds as if they were routine tax returns and say that's not really our job. We also learned the IRS ignores notifications from the Social Security Administration that a name does not match a Social Security number, and you use your own system to determine whether a number is valid. Commissioner Koskinen was asked to explain this. He suggested that as long as the information is being used only to fraudulently obtain jobs. The IRS was okay with it. In fact, he said that the IRS actually had an interest in helping the illegal immigrants to crook these rules. In fairness, perhaps it's just that that's not my department response that abounds in big government. Perhaps this just isn't the IRS problem, but it sure seems odd to have any agency chief encouraging illegal immigrants' theft of Social Security numbers. Oh, yes, yes it is. And I know that's been going on for a very long time. I do know that because when I lived in North Carolina, I knew some illegals who had obtained their Social Security numbers fraudulently. And they made no bones about it. They weren't shy about telling you. Not at all. And I found that a little bit odd. Why are they so brazen? I don't know. Anyway, sorry, that was probably very loud because I hit it with my ring. All right, so let's get out of there and let's come back to here. I know time is a ticking and it's getting late. I know you guys are probably somewhere out there in internet land saying, she's not posting tonight. Don't think she's posting tonight. Nope, not posting. But you're wrong. I am posting tonight. Gosh darn it. I even did it twice for you. Okay. Breaking. President Trump planning to formally designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. The U.S. would be the 7th nation to designate the Islamist group as terrorist. Well, let me tell you, if anyone can do it, President Trump can. And thank goodness that he's on top of this, because I think that's exactly what needs to happen. And I bet you that you are behind him, and you can bet that I am. So there you go. And wanted to show you this. I've got so much. I've probably got enough to do another hour, but I don't have the stamina to do another hour. Anyway, this from the outlaw Josie Wales, who is replying to, your favorite and mine, David Hogg. I like to call him Hog Boy. I don't know why. Listen to him. The only thing to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a lawsuit. Like, really, who believes this kid is a high school kid? Not me. He's got a receding hairline. And, the thing is, it's so funny because I remember distinctly, and I've been trying to find it again. Him saying, yeah, I was on my bike and I was riding and I heard that there was a shooting at the school, so I rode as fast as I can, hoping to get an interview. And I remember thinking, wait a minute, I thought he was in the school when the shooting happened. And here he's saying, no, I was outside the school and I heard it was happening, so I pedaled as fast as I could to get there. Something's wrong with that. And not only that, but the fact that so many people said he wasn't a student there. And it's quite obvious he was older than a high school student, because most high school students don't have receding hairlines. I'm just saying. And there's no way he got into Harvard on his own. No, didn't happen. Anyway, so the outlaw Josie Wales said no one ever. Seriously, this is galaxy brain stupidity. Oh, I could not agree more. The only thing to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a lawsuit. Right. Like, next time somebody breaks in with a gun, I'm going to say, stop! I'm going to sue you. Right. I'm sure that'll stop him right away. Oh, no, not a lawsuit. Let me drop my gun. Right now. Come on. What do these people smoke? Really? Like, it's got to be something more potent than just the average crack or something. I don't know what they're smoking. I don't. I want to know. Well, I don't want to know, because I wouldn't want that level of stupidity to enter my brain ever. Okay, and this, Jim Hoft, he says, complete madness. Democrats subpoenaed Trump's grandkids' personal records. Yes, he did. And not only his grandkids, his grandkids are very young. They probably do have financial records. They probably have trust funds and so forth. But who cares? Do you care? I don't care. What other nation on earth would do that? None. None. Like, do you think people care about, you know, their leaders' grandkids' finances? Seriously? Like, this is how far they have to go now to find something on Trump? This is harassment. His grandkids? Are you kidding me? I mean, even his kids is going way too far. Even asking for his finances is going way too far. But his kids and his grandkids, and now they want his daughter Tiffany, who lives out west. She doesn't even live in the Washington area or New York area, and she's going to university out there, and they want to subpoena the university finances for her. Why? Why? What does that have to do with the presidency? Nothing. It's gobsmacking. Gobsmacking. Now, these people that are pushing this, like Maxine Waters, I'd like to look into her finances and see how, and maybe her kids' finances, and maybe her grandkids' finances, and just see what we see. I mean, they're harassing the president. Why don't they offer theirs? Well, you know why. Because you know what they're thinking? They're thinking, you know what? We've got all this stuff hidden in our finance, all these evil things. I bet you Trump does too. Because you know how it's like, you know, when there's a serial killer next door. Not that I've ever had that happen to me, and I pray it never does. But, you know, they interview the next door neighbor, and they go, "Oh man, like, he was such a nice guy. I had barbecue with him. He was really nice. He was nice to the kids. Yeah, like, you know, he had a dog. He was like nice to the, like, you know, because you know why? Because you automatically think that that your neighbor is the same as you, right? And you think, well, I wouldn't murder people and bury them in my backyard, so my neighbor wouldn't either. Neither would, you know, their neighbor. Like, because it's just so far beyond your human, you know, realm of your reality. Like, nobody does that. Well, there are people that do that, but normal people. I'm talking normal people. You and me. We wouldn't do that. So they know what they've done. They know what the sins they've committed and what they've done. And so they're thinking, well, you know, I'm really evil and I've done all this stuff and I keep it hidden, so I bet you he does too. I bet you he's got that in his finance. So I bet you we could take him down if we found out about his finances. That's how they're thinking. Because they're sick. Like, like, you know, needing psychiatric help sick, really. And here, which leads us to this, liberalism is a mental disorder. Yes, I think it is. After the brutal rape and murder of an EU official's daughter by a Muslim migrant, he and his wife begged for her killer not to be sentenced, started a foundation in her name for Muslim migrants, and even started asking for money during their daughter's funeral. Alrighty then. Now, and this from Christus Patriot. How is this not targeted harassment against Trump and his family? Dems subpoena personal records of Trump's grandchildren. Dems subpoena Tiffany Trump's debit card records from college. Dems subpoena Capital One and Deutsche Bank for financial records going back decades. Yeah, please tell me how that's not harassment. Really. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And, breaking news, Nancy Pelosi and Democrats block bill to stop infanticide for 34th time, refuse care for babies born alive. Yep, they have blocked it again. They want the right to kill those babies. Now, we're not talking about, you know, stopping all abortion. We're talking about the fact that if a child is born alive, you know, they want a bill that says you have to render aid to that child. If it's born alive through a botched abortion, you have to render aid. It's been blocked 34 times. 34 times. to me, that's just common sense. Like, I remember reading about a puppy that had been, you know how, I mean, it's unfortunate that they put down animals that can't get homes or whatever, and they gas them, or at least they used to. I don't know if they still do, but they used to. And this puppy had survived. Well, do you think they put it in and gassed it again? No. They said, okay, that we've already gassed this puppy. Somehow, the only one that survived, he survived. They let him live. They found him a home. I mean, you know, even animals get that right. But not babies. Now, and this, not one Democrat showed up to listen to border officials about the dangerous situation at our border. Not one. Not one. And look at all those empty seats. Border officials testify on Capitol Hill. Empty, 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 empty. Yeah. How do you feel about that? They won't even listen. They don't even want to listen to it. So anyway, I want to show you one more thing, because this is, to me, is fascinating. And I know we are, it's getting late, and you know, but I have so much stuff to go over. But anyway, I want to show you this because to me, something's not right with this. Look at this. And it's Pelosi, but it's something beyond the norm here. I want to show you something, and I want you, hang on here. It's not what she's saying, okay? Even though it is a little weird, because she's saying that you don't criticize the president of the United States, even after she's been one of the most critical people of the president that there is. But now she's saying, in a very different tone, Nancy Pelosi says she has a rule. You don't criticize the president of the United States. WTF. That's all Pelosi has done is criticize President Trump. Watch out, POTUS. Pelosi is up to something. She probably is, but this isn't why I pulled this, even though it's weird. It's weird for many reasons. But it's weird because what the heck are all these Band-Aids on her fingers? Okay, this is what I'm wondering about. So just take a look at this.
Choose a leader among you to guide the infrastructure project and spending going forward.
Well, we have some of our members, we have our...
Now, you may not be able to see it here. And there may be other, but she has a Band-Aid on all her fingers, all of them. Made me think of, you know, spirit cooking and cutting your finger and eating the pain and all that stuff. Just made me kind of wonder. I mean, we all cut ourselves cooking or whatever, or, you know, we may have a scratch or something, may need a Band-Aid, but on every finger? It's a little weird to me. So, and you know how she's spastic with her hands, so you can really tell. Now, let's look and see if hopefully you can see it as well.
Leadership there, and I have a rule when I go to a meeting with many members.
See there, you can see it a little better here. She's got Band-Aids on her fingers.
And that rule is, the purpose of the meeting is not to criticize the President of the United States.
So these two fingers have Band-Aids. I can't really tell if there's more or not. It looked like there was more. But here, definitely these two fingers are Band-Aided. That's not a word.
And secondly...
Bandaged. So this finger, you can see.
That every person has a chance to say what he or she can.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3 fingers. Odd.
Came to say. So this is a collaborative effort, and we hope it will be very bipartisan.
Now, I'm not going to play the rest of it because I really don't care what she has to say. I do have another somewhere of her just rambling incoherently. I mean, there's something really, really wrong with her, and you can tell, but I don't know where that is, and we're getting on in time tonight. Hopefully I'll be able to do more tomorrow. I do have an appointment. I have a friend that is very, very critically ill, and I've taken her to the clinic, I've taken her to the doctor, and tomorrow I'm taking her to the hospital because she's not getting better. So, but I do plan on being back in good time tomorrow to be able to record. So I'm hoping to be able to do at least a couple tomorrow videos. And I was planning on doing a couple tonight, and I did a couple, but unfortunately you're only seeing one because for some reason something weird happened. And let me just go check and make sure we're still recording. We are. Yippee, yippee yahoo. Okay. So yeah, there's that. And let me just see if there's anything else that I feel is absolutely critical for you to have tonight. Trying to find if I could find that video of Pelosi, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure where it is, but I will find it and try to bring it to you because I think you would find it. Let me see, maybe this could be it. I'm not sure. No, it's not. It is breaking now. Nearly 150 attend Joe Biden rally in Pennsylvania. Local streets remain open and no extra police needed. Ha ha ha. Now, I think that there were more than 150 there, to tell you the truth, to be honest. But yeah, it's still funny a little bit. All right, now I am going to leave it there for tonight. I do have more news to go over, but some of that I will try to get to tomorrow. And of course, tomorrow's news will be full of news as well because it's happening every day. It's happening so quickly. So I'll try to keep on top of all that, and I will keep looking for Q posts. And if Q posts tomorrow, I will cover that as well. So I hope you guys have a great night, and thank you guys so much for your support, for your encouragement, for your prayers. Appreciated more than you will ever know, believe me. And anyway, I hope to see you guys real soon. Stay safe and keep your eyes open because I think that we're kind of entering into a time where there's going to be probably more false flags. So see something, say something, stay alert, and try to stay safe. And I will talk to you guys soon. And remember, seek truth because deception bites.